Hi, y'all, and welcome to L.A., home to Hollywood legends, movie studios, and endless highways. But there's more to L.A. than that. Look a little deeper, and you'll come across one of California's newest and best metal bands, Linkin Park.
It's mainly the kind of music, after I found out that they are from LA, that makes it even better, because they're an LA band. But it's mainly just a liking of the music, because their music is fantastic.
A state that's chock full of bands just looking to hit the big time, Linkin Park has dedicated itself to making the best music they can and looking out for the kids who support them.
Yeah, the very first time I remember seeing Linkin Park is when I first saw their very first music video. I think it was on MTV2. And as soon as I heard the singer's voice, that's when I got interested, because he has an absolutely wonderful voice.
Blending hardcore rock, hip-hop, and electronica, Linkin Park has established a sound that is easy to identify, but hard to classify.
I don't know, whenever there's been difficult times in my life, which there's been quite a few, I've just put the CD in and I've listened to it, and it's helped me a lot, just because, I don't know if that sounds cheesy or not, but it seriously has. I'd say that the words are the best part of the album, and the music's great too. That would be my reasoning for it, that I don't think there's any way that you cannot like any of the songs.
The band combines the hard-hitting rhymes of Michael Kenji Shinoda, the melodic vocals of Chester Bennington, the bone-crushing beats of Rob Bourdon, the vicious guitar riffs of Brad Delson, the pounding bass of Phoenix Farrell, and last but not least, Joseph Hahn's slip-sliding decks. Yeah, people, this band kicks ass.
Very strongly. Very strongly. As long as, every time you listen to the radio stations, and it's if you watch MTV or VH1 or any of those music stations, just by, showing their videos, constantly playing their songs on the radio over and over again, you can't help but fall into it, and you can't help but want, their music, their CDs, their posters, all of the above.
So how did all this happen? Where did it all begin? Well, it didn't happen overnight. These guys have done their tour of duty in other bands, but if you want a starting point, you have to go back a few years. Mike and Brad attended the same high school in Agoura. It was here that they started messing around with music and met up with drummer Rob Bourdon. Soon after, the guys formed their first band, Zero. This included fellow Linkin Park members Phoenix and Joe. Brad having met Phoenix at UCLA, and Mike having met Joe while studying illustration at the Pasadena Art Center.
I believe they've been friends since they were young, and that definitely helps growing up playing together. I'm sure it contributes, greatly to all of their processes. They spend so much time together. They know that they can be confined together in a tour bus for 8 to 10 months out of the year, and that they can spend 8 weeks in a recording studio, 12 hours a day together. And I'm sure, starting knowing each other for so long and growing up playing together, they're very in tune with each other and how they're going to react to each other personally and musically especially.
The lead singer, I believe his name's Mike. I definitely like him, just I guess because he's the one that's saying the words, and that's who you're listening to. I'm not sure who writes the songs or if they all write them together or not, but I definitely say all of them together. I've seen them also on MTV at the awards or whatever playing, and they all seem to be an influence.
Everything from hip hop stuff like Black Star, The Roots, Mos Def, to more electronic sounding stuff.
Elemental, Visionaries, Word.
Ronnie Size, Aphex Twin, even Depeche Mode.
Oh, I like the driving, the pulsing. I like motivational music that you can listen to and that'll pump you up, that'll get you ready for, any kind of, whatever you need to prepare for, whether it's a test for school or driving on the freeway, anything that's going to just, you know, get you pumped and get you ready, make you feel confident and motivated.
The guys played for fun at first before setting up their first major show at the Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset Boulevard, LA.
Our show is really energetic, and we like the kids to be as well. And so being in a standing venue is going to be great because, you know, we'll go out there and they'll freak out when we're playing and stuff, and all that stuff is really important, really fun.
Wow, the Valley, you know, the Valley's really diverse, ethnically and musically. You have jazz. In fact, in these two places right here, you know, within 50 yards of this place, you have jazz bands going on and funk bands going on. The Valley had a pretty decent hardcore scene. North Hollywood is starting to have a couple more different music areas, places where you can go. The West Valley is kind of bad. Actually, they just opened up a new place maybe about 2 miles north of here, so that'll be the main competition. But I think I'm looking at the verge of a big LA music explosion, or at least some people noticing from the media, or some big bands coming out of here within the next year. Just a larger focus on what's going on here.
Yeah, I would definitely say that them being from Southern California is definitely prevalent in their sound. You can tell they're not a Hollywood band, they're a West Valley band. You can tell, that's for sure. They're a little more peaceful, a little more serene, but they still have that edge. They still have the California edge, if you call it that. But yeah, you can tell that their music isn't as jaded as some of the other places like that, like Hollywood or New York, but they're also not, you know, from the middle of nowhere and trying to emulate a band from one of those areas.
They must have been pretty good because Zomba Music Publishing saw them and signed them there and then.
Well, an A&R man today, as against when I kind of became an A&R person, have changed considerably. I mean, the traditional word A&R means artist and repertoire. Back when that was originated, it was the A&R man was the person who signed the artist, found the material for the artist, found the arranger, the band leader, booked the studio, did all of that. Today, the A&R world is much different. Most acts in the contemporary field are self-contained. So you've got an A&R person who seeks talent, who signs talent, and then works and coordinates the recording, brings in a producer, working with the artist. There are some acts who do not write, and the A&R person involved will, as I have done with artists like Celine Dion, find songs for them, and then you bring in various producers that are appropriate for the singer in that song. So the word A&R has changed considerably, but it's basically the person that searches for and works with the talent.
2 years later, and after a slight lineup change, Chester Bennington joined the band after the guys heard his vocal remix of one of their demos. He was so excited when they asked him to try out that he ran out of his own birthday party to go work on his demo. The band loved what he'd done and asked Chester to join the band. He soon left Arizona and jumped on the first plane to LA.
The thing that we saw in Chester right away is that he's somebody who's been singing for his whole life, and I'm somebody who's been rapping my whole life, so that just felt really natural, you know. We spend a lot of time working on what we do. For some reason we like each other, and he likes me a lot, and I can't stand him.
With the band lineup complete, the band changed their name to Hybrid Theory to celebrate their new look. The next few months, the guys worked hard on demos and sent them out to just about anyone who would listen. Lucky for them, it was Warner Brothers who had his ear glued to the stereo.
I think it's really tough. I think, like in the case of Linkin Park, I think, you know, I have a lot of respect for the fact that they've been able to stay on the top 20 charts for well over a year. That's huge, but one of the things Ben and I were talking about prior to you coming here is that they had a buzz prior to them even getting signed. And I think that's a huge thing in the industry. You start to hear, well, you've got to check out this Linkin Park band. They're going to be really great. They're going to be huge. So part of it is that it has the kid appeal anyway, but I think you're also being told that this is going to be big, and if they're hearing it on the radio and then they're seeing the MTV and they're liking the way they look, then you can milk it longer.
Well, in the general sense, to find an artist, it depends on the kind of music that you're working with, but in a general sense, to me, and I think we've gotten away, in this day and age, we've gotten away a lot from this. We have a tendency to jump on the quick trend and not really worry about the artist integrity part of it. But in truth, I still think there's a need for great artistry, and when you look for that, you're looking for someone who, or an artist or a band, who, in the A&R person's opinion, has the potential to be successful for a long period of time, has something special about them that stands out.
What kind of gimmicks can we do, right, to make people like our band? And the problem is, we couldn't come up with anything. So we're kind of forced just to play our songs.
The underground sort of grassroots kind of viral sort of marketing, I think, is one way. And some of these bands, by the time they get signed, they already have a mailing list of 100,000 kids. So there's that way, but also I think there's the old way, which is just being, anointed for success by a major who can marshal these massive promotional resources behind you and sort of almost preordain the hit, especially among the teen market, I think.
Getting into the music industry is it's just one big test. It's a test of everything. It's a test of your stamina. It's a test of how many times can you be rejected and still believe in yourself. It's a test of, can you basically maintain your composure and not freak out and strangle someone who just jerked you over for tens of thousands of dollars. It's everything, and you're never really at the top. You might think you're at the top, but I don't think anyone really is. If you're trying to break into the industry, it's just, you have to just believe in yourself and try to meet as many people as you can. Never give up. I guess obviously there's some interest in what I'm doing. It means the world to me. Every little drop that anyone ever gives you a compliment, you just have to be as humble as you can be and just thank them. It doesn't matter how huge or rich or whatever you get, you have to maintain that same attitude and be as humble as you possibly can be. And just keep at it, persistence. That's it, I guess, really.
Yeah, certain labels. Most labels you have in California, just because the whole philosophy in Southern California is just be able to show how much wealth you have and be able to live whatever American dream you may think there may be. But for a label, most of the labels out here are just purely corporate labels that are in with the radio stations. They just want to play whatever's popular. They want to play whatever's the softest thing and whatever what they call like corporate rock, when you have like NSYNC and all those little bands. They just copy each other and it's more like a stage show. And personally, I think that music should be more of a platform to be able to get a real message across. And I just think that right now, with all the problems we have in the world in the United States, that people should actually be saying something rather than just talking about nothing, like their girlfriend left them or something stupid.
There was a problem though. Turns out there was another band called Hybrid Theory, so the guys had to come up with a new name. It was Chester who came to the rescue. He recalled how he used to drive past Linkin Park in Santa Monica on his way to band practice. He really liked the name, and so did the other guys. With that, Linkin Park was born. If you want people to know about you, you gotta have a website, man. It's here that your fans can learn all about you, listen to your music, and see those tour photos you wouldn't want to show your mom.
I definitely think so that way, because even for people younger than me, they like to look it up and see what's going on if they really like the band, and that way they're updated and they can see what's going on. And with tours, that's the best, to see your favorite band playing live.
Before I go out and buy an album, I download the available MP3s off the internet. I check out the other songs just to make sure that there's more than just the 2 singles that have been released. And if the entire CD sounds like something I'd be interested in, then I go out and purchase the CD.
In fact, not wanting web surfers to find a bunch of American Parks when they were looking for the band online, the guys decided to change the spelling of the band's name. With that, the familiar Linkin Park spelling was created, and that all-important .com was theirs.
Oh yeah, I think definitely the internet thing is it hasn't been it has not been overrated as far as what it's done for music. It's just I could make a song right now, put it in MP3 format, and email it out to X amount of people. All those people would hear it. All those people might be A&R people. Maybe they would trash it or whatever, but that's not the point. The point is, if I wanted to, I could do it, and a lot of people are doing it. Napster, I mean, there's been groups that are small and just getting off the ground, like back to the independent record thing, and they're not on the radio, but they're on Napster. So people go to Napster and then they can immediately download that song. It just builds up a hype. A lot of different things. I've seen people with mp3.com that are earning money. I haven't got into all that. That's not really my thing. I'd rather sell mixtapes on the street and make money that way. But for the people who are into that, hey, I think the internet definitely has changed the way people get their music out there.
I personally think that in theory, yes, it could be beneficial. In application, I don't know that it is. The fact that there may be 200,000 or 2 million songs available on the internet for somebody to listen to doesn't mean that somebody's going to take the time to actually go through and listen to 30 seconds of each song. So consequently, with the internet, it becomes more of a concept of preaching to the converted, that the artists that people are hearing on the radio and seeing videos on MTV and various other video programs, those artists are getting the most hits on the internet. Just because you can put a video or a song on the internet does not necessarily mean anybody's going to listen to it or view it. And so in theory, yes, the fact that you could access all this information and this new music is great. In application, it doesn't seem to really have been that effectual yet. As the technology changes, who knows what may happen in the future.
Hip-hop is part of American culture, and some say that DJs are metal's new heroes. Following in the footsteps of bands such as Korn and Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park incorporated a DJ as well as an MC into their lineup.
To me, hip-hop is taking over. It's taking over everything. It's taking over fashion. It's taking over speech. So the rock world really can't escape it. They kind of have no choice, you know what I'm saying? And not every rock band, or not every good rock band, but I've gone as far as listening to a Metallica song randomly and hear like a pause. Like, I was like, wait a second, like it sounded like a DJ stopping the record and the song started again. I mean, that's Metallica. They might not have even acknowledged, because the rest of the song didn't have rapping or scratching, but to me it's just taking over, so they have no choice. And it's just, that's the evolution of music to me, because like rock used to be like more like a culture, like almost kind of a movement, like in the 50s and 60s, and it's not anymore. Now it's just, it's cool, it's music, but hip-hop is like what rock used to be. So just like rock influenced jazz and blues and took it to a certain level, that's what hip-hop is doing, with the influence of the earlier rock, sure, but I feel like the most successful rock bands have turntablists now because people just want hip-hop.
I think the hip-hop influence on alternative music does add a little bit more spice. I personally like hardcore, just, I like the fact that, when there's just guitars and stuff like that, but with Linkin Park, the fact that they do have a DJ, their music is absolutely excellent. So yeah, I do think that having that hip-hop influence does make it more interesting, more exciting.
It just depends on how open the band is, really, because you know, a turntable you can do anything. You can make melodies with it. I mean, you can even make like a bass line. Like you could be the bassist in a song. Bass player could stop playing. You could be the drummer for a song. It depends on how open the band is, because I feel like sometimes a lot of rock bands that don't understand it, they feel like it's too loud in the mix. They maybe hate on it a little bit. They feel like it's taking over their job. It just, like I said, it depends on how much the band will appreciate what you're doing and allow you to write music without being scared of you taking over, basically.
I have a unique take on that whole issue because there was a facet of rap music that I am one of the pioneers of, which is kind of the Chicago sound, the Midwest sound, or whatever you might call it, in rap. Initially, and the people around me all felt like, you know, these people are taking from me, these people are taking from me. And as I thought about it, I realized that they're not necessarily taking from me. What they're doing is they're taking what I do and making it more acceptable to people who hadn't heard me, or that I may not have been able to reach.
Well, I don't really know if rock music was dead, but it's just that because hip hop has such a strong force and essence, once it's connected with anything else, it's just so much energy and so much life added to it, where it just makes whatever it was before that just look just that much smaller. And then once rap is connected or added on to it or plays any part to it, it just looks that much bigger.
Critics and fans alike can't deny that Linkin Park's Joseph Hahn is far from your average metal DJ. Mixed with the MC talents of Mike, and it's not hard to see how Linkin Park take the hip-hop metal crossover up to the next level. You just can't ignore those big fat grooves.
I think there's a lot of parts on that record that many people wouldn't even know are the DJ at that point. There's a lot of sound effects, just odd manipulations of sounds that people don't necessarily associate with a DJ because it's not a scratch or it's not a particular performance part. It's just it's a nice sound effect that kind of sits in the back of the mix, but adds so much to the song. So yeah, it's that opposed to the live, where the live it is more of a performance type of thing, a lot of scratching and that type of thing.
You may kick ass on stage, but it's no good unless the fans can jump around to it at home too. The guys had put a 6-track CD out when they were called Hybrid Theory to get the ball rolling, but this only had a limited release. What they really wanted was a full-on album. With Warner Brothers paying the bill, the guys found themselves at NRG Studios. It was here that the guys pulled out all those songs they'd written over the years.
Basically the first day of the session would be the setup day. Everybody comes in, you know, they set up their instruments and you know, how they feel most comfortable. The engineers spends the day basically getting the sounds. There's not a whole lot of performing, recording that generally goes on in the first day. Being that most people spend 6 to 8 weeks here, it's just kind of like moving into, it's kind of like going to college for your first day. Everybody's just getting settled in and kind of, you know, making themselves feel at home. And then the day is spent, you know, getting a lot of sounds and, you know, just through the basic, you know, the basic setup process. And then from there, the magic begins, I guess you would say, the recording process. And generally starts with drums. Drums is generally the first thing that gets recorded. And everything's just built on top of that. Generally when the drums are recorded, everybody's playing along, and everybody else's instruments are just considered scratch tracks, which may or may not get used in the final product, generally not. And then after that, that's really the only time the full band plays together. After that, everybody's recording their parts individually in the overdubbing process, as it's called.
With all the bands, I think the sounds are individually moulded by the engineer or the producer that they're using. I do know of engineers and producers though that actually can tell, they listen to an album and they know which studio and which room it was recorded in. So obviously, you know, there are merits within different tracking rooms and different control rooms that do affect the sound. So I think it's very important that you do have like a true control room for listening, and you have a great sounding tracking room.
I think that being a great live band and a great touring band and embracing that is absolutely reflected in the recording studio. Their records have such a live feel to them. It doesn't feel like a processed thing at all. It's very organic. I think that's the nature of their music, is very organic, and so it comes across so well live and so easily translated in the studio. And because they love to tour and they tour so much, it does just generate, you know, their chops are constantly, you know, being worked, and so when they come to the studio, they're ready to go.
The way we went to create this record, Hybrid Theory, is I listened to Craig David's record. It's not available in the US, but I was able to procure a copy, and I listened to it over and over and over again, really trying to get into what is garage, because I'd never heard of this term. So after studying the Craig David record over and over and over again, I just started really not just feeling garage, but really being garage.
I think when bands do record an album, if they haven't recorded before, I think when they go into a studio it can be fairly intimidating and a little overwhelming with the possibilities. I think on the first album that can show sometimes. However, you do get that inexperienced thing where it's fresh and it's new. By the time the second and third album, sometimes they spend too long and they nitpick too hard. So I think after a few successful albums, sometimes they double question themselves. They keep questioning themselves whether they're going in the right direction. Whereas in the first album, there tends to be, well, this is it. You know, they don't think too hard, and they're overwhelmed by everything else going on. So I think sometimes first albums are really good. They're really fresh.
This fine collection of material was recorded and produced to make the band's debut LP, Hybrid Theory, in tribute to their old name. It was finally released in January 2001, and you metalheads couldn't get enough of it.
I think that their music is really good, but the words like together is like, I can understand it. Like every song that they have on their latest album, like I understand everything that they're saying, and I can like understand, I don't know, I like can put the words together and it means something to me, and it can have something to do with my life.
So far off the Hybrid Theory album, I think my favorite song is Crawling. It's a fantastic song. The video is great also, and it works to get you motivated and to get you pumped, and it's really fun to sing along with and to scream along with.
Actually, it's the words, like whatever they say, like I can think of a story about in my life, and I can like put it together, and I can be like, oh, this reminds me of that, and that's why I listen to it. The fact that they're not like bleeped out on the radio and that you can't understand what they're saying is like a plus, but I have their album, so either way, like it wouldn't really matter to me. I definitely think it'll be like one of my like favorite albums of all time, because like I said earlier, that's like on that album are like every single song on that track. And that's really hard to find. There's only been like maybe 2 or 3 and like that I've had an album that like every single song, and I'll definitely be keeping that one.
Now, Linkin Park was used to touring, but after the launch of their debut album, things went crazy.
Okay, I went this last April to Hollywood Palladium to go see Linkin Park, and they were starting up like the bands before them, and my friend had smuggled a joint in there, so she was smoking, she handed me the joint, and I picked it up, and before you knew it, 2 security guards like grabbed us, they threw us in the back, and they kicked us out, so we had to watch the rest of the concert from like outside where we can hear them, but we didn't like get to see them before. Well, as they were like playing, like they were really lively and they were really entertaining, moving around on the stage. And when we had gotten kicked out, they had opened the doors and the concert ended, and they were signing autographs for people. I thought that was really cool because it was at the Hollywood Palladium and it's pretty small. So I thought that was really cool that they stayed around after putting on a show to sign autographs for people.
We're there to play for like our fans, like our hardcore dedicated fans and supporters, and we want to be able to chill with them afterwards. Like, we're no better than they are. And so we want to make that really clear too. Like, after the show, we're not like these big freaking rock stars, you know what I mean, that like want to go and hide afterwards. We're not about that. Like, we started playing music for fun and for our friends, and like when it stops being fun and about like having that type of camaraderie with like the people we're playing for, then you might as well not do it.
It can get a little weird out there on tour. Brad's strangest request was for Linkin Park's pubic hair. In fact, the fans in the UK had even brought tape to put it on. Just goes to show those Brits are mad.
A couple of kids wanted samples to take home of our pubic hair. They had a piece of tape and they were like, "Can we get some?"
Yeah, because they wanted to like clone us. Would they have the opportunity in the future?
I wonder if you cloned some pubic hair, if you'd have a clone that was like more pubic.
No, I usually don't like going into mosh pits. Mainly because I don't like being groped by a bunch of big hairy guys with no manners.
The band carried out incessant touring with bands such as Deftones, POD, and Papa Roach, as well as headlining major dates of their own. They also played on Ozfest and the Family Values Tour in 2001.
It seems to be the ironclad rule in America, this relentless touring. And it pays dividends. I mean, Linkin Park, you know, they probably haven't been home for going on 2 years. Incubus, the strains of touring sent them into therapy. So, yeah, I think Pete Yorn has been played here 5 times this past year. They're working him like a racehorse.
I think, it's the need to, they want to have a presence with their fans, you know, in the best part of the sense. Maybe they actually enjoy it because they want to give it for the fans, and fans love to see their bands live, and some bands actually are better live than they are on the record. So I think that importance from like the good side of it is that maybe they really enjoy at least seeing their fans and getting out there. But then there is the other side where you work too much and you have to do it because the second single was released, and it could be taxing. But I think that plays with the fact that you're working a radio hit, and you're also doing everything marketing to keep yourself up there.
Chester came back into the dressing room without basically shoes or clothes or anything left of him after like we kind of chilled with the audience and stuff. And he was like, you know what? People were so polite about taking my stuff that I gave it to them.
Touring is one of the hardest things to do. I mean, people have no idea. Of course, there's glamorous aspects of it. You know, when you're on stage, it's great, but you're on stage for an hour or 2 hours out of a day, and the rest of it is grueling, grinding, traveling, different beds, never being able to open your own refrigerator, and having to scrounge for everything in towns that you're unfamiliar with. On the other hand, there's a lot of adventure to it, and I mean, at first it was just really, really great, and toward the end of my touring thing, it just became more and more difficult. And you grow up, you get family and that kind of thing, and so now then you have those long distance relationships that are very, very difficult to maintain. So maintaining a relationship on tour is really hard. But just the physical grind of it is just amazing. You never get sleep. You never get correct sleep. If you're on a bus, you're moving all the time. You go from concert to bus to hotel to concert to bus to hotel and do it all over again. On the other hand, you get to see a lot of stuff. and you can sleep on your days off. So, and you know, with airplanes and all that kind of routine, I don't have to tell you now, after our unfortunate 911, that that's become just, you know, make it 10 times more difficult. I can't imagine how the roadies do it, having to cart everything onto airplanes, get everything checked. They must have to be there 5 hours before a flight. So it's a grind. I think that's what gets more people than anything else in this business.
I went on vacation for a week to the Caribbean, and I came back with no tan, so it's kind of an embarrassment.
Your tan's not bad, bro. It's okay. You look pretty good. Yeah.
You're a sexy bitch. You also have the problem internally of bands where members may not agree with each other, and bands have a tendency to break up. So in terms of the most challenging aspects, I guess the fact that you've got to be prepared for everything, and you can come in the morning with the best laid plans of what you intend to do through the course of the day, but one phone call can send you off on a tangent, and you have to deal with problems of cancellations or shows that may not be selling as many tickets as you would hope, that you may have to move to a smaller venue, or as you said, weather problems, artists potentially not wanting to play certain dates. It's a multitude of problems.
So what does the future hold for Linkin Park?
So far, with this CD, with Hybrid Theory, I'm a big fan. This is an absolutely excellent CD. And I'm just hoping that the next one that they release is just as good as this one, because then I definitely will be a fan for a very long time.
We just like focus on our shows and our fans. Like that's like pretty much what we're about, is like just playing shows for our fans and like getting down there and like talking to as many of them as we can and hang out with them. And I think that is also a key, like the reason why we're getting the success that we're getting so fast is the fact that like we kind of have like a real connection with our fans, and our fans are the best fans in the world.
Oh, I think they can wait. They totally sold out every show that they did, and I think certain bands, if you keep the build and you keep in the press a little bit, and you're still hitting the radio market, which is a huge of huge importance in the United States. If you don't have a radio hit, it's darn near impossible to sell a lot of records. And so, you know, if they have that one hit and it's still charting, it's still being played, and, you know, or another hit too, 5 years down the line they can release another record and still be, you know, big.
Some of the band's critics describe them as a manufactured rock boy band. Screw you, man. You can only dream that you were this good.
The words that they're saying are like, they're down to earth, and like it might be picked up as trendy, and like since the music's really good, everyone might start liking it. So therefore they might like give them that kind of name because they're popular and because people understand where they're coming from. But I think they're a little bit different than other bands might be. Definitely, I don't think that they're like metal boy band type of thing.
Following the success of their debut album, the guys have decided to release a remix album. Looks like you metalheads are gonna have a bit more hip-hop in your lives.
It's like I said, if you make, you know, good music, you know, and you believe in yourself and you persevere and never give up, you know, it's no way that you can lose. At some point you'll get your chance. At some point you will succeed. And I don't know what that success may be, but at some point, you know, you'll get your just desserts.
Well, my advice to them would be what my advice would be to anybody who's trying to accomplish anything, which would be just don't give up. No matter what happens, no matter what rational thought pattern goes through your head that you feel like, okay, it's better if I go do this instead of this. If you really want to be successful in music, through the ups and downs, the hard times, the days that it seems like it's just not meant for you, don't give up.
I don't know. People say it's the world's toughest business. I think life in general is as tough as you make it, you know. And I've always figured, you know, we're not saving lives, we're making music. And sometimes you've got to get a perspective, like it's songs and it's making people happy.
Well, it's just real simple. It doesn't matter who we are, how good we are at what we do in the industry, without the talent, without the artist, there is no business. And eventually it comes back to the talent. You can have quick hits that are made in the studio by producers, sound, but over a long period of time, the acts that sell the big numbers, have the big album sales, are artists with unique talent. And without those, we don't really have a business. And if you look at the history of the business, the Beatles all the way, the great artists are down to talent. Without that, without the talent, I wouldn't have a job.
Even the teen fans, I think we might have been talking about them today as if they're, kind of sheep being led around. I also think they're very fickle and they're very sophisticated too. I think to a large extent it does come down to the music and to the hooks, to the songs, and not to say that anyone with great songs or great hooks is going to make it, but I think without that, even the savviest project might not succeed.
Whatever happens to Linkin Park, you can expect these guys to continue doing great music. They've come a long way since their beginnings, and they're still only on their first album. You can be sure there has to be more to come.
I think the second album does take longer. I think when a band's had a first album that's been very successful, then they tend to worry about the failure of a second album, as if that's going to make and break their career. They have a second album that dives, we're never going to do well again. And I think sometimes people are a little too serious about it.
I'd say if you didn't like, alternative type of music, if you just check them out and listen to their albums, I can guarantee out of all those songs you'd at least like half of them, at least. Even if you didn't like that type of music. Definitely say to just give them a chance and try them, and you'll be guaranteed to like them.